The LA Chargers just finished handing the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss of the season. And even though the score was 27-21, the entire game felt like the LA Chargers were pretty much in control the entire time. They got a lead early in the game, and after that touchdown that they scored in the first quarter, they did not trail. They were not tied with the Chiefs. Now, at one point, the Chiefs had a pretty good chance to at least tie the game with a Harrison Butker field goal. But after that miss, it almost spelled the end for this team, because after that point, the Chargers scored 2 straight touchdown drives, and they were 10-plus play drives. They were 7.5-minute drives. And the Chiefs made it interesting to end the game, but it just seemed like time after time, Patrick Mahomes, even as incredible as he was, that pass late down the field to Marquise Brown, that pass, I believe, in the fourth quarter, but it might have been on their touchdown drive in the third quarter, where he was basically flying through the air and he completed the pass to Juju Smith-Schuster. The fake screen where they hit the pass to Travis Kelce to score that. Like, the Chiefs made a lot of plays offensively. The problem was that all of the plays that they hit on came in the second half. They scored a touchdown, 2 straight drives in the third quarter and fourth quarter, but their defense could just not get LA off the field. Like I said, 2 straight drives for the Chargers that spanned 23 plays, almost 150 yards, in almost 15 minutes of game time. And to end the game tonight, the Chargers, they start the drive that ends the game with an 18-yard pass to Will Dissly. And just from the way it lined up, you almost knew the Chargers were going to draw some sort of misdirection on the Chiefs, and they fake the handoff, and Will Dissly gets right past Shamari Connor for an easy 20-yard gain. But they stop him 2 straight plays. Marion Hampton only gets 1 yard on the next run. Kansas City takes a timeout. Justin Herbert gets sacked by Drew Tranquill, and that was Drew Tranquill's second sack of the game. Another timeout from Kansas City, but then on 3rd and 14, Chris Jones gives up contain. The Kansas City Chiefs have nobody within 30 yards of Justin Herbert. Within 30 yards. And he scrambles for a 20-yard gain to ice the game and win it. Now, throughout this entire game, I think Justin Herbert somewhat got unleashed. That drive in the fourth quarter that they scored a touchdown, Justin Herbert was throwing the ball to everyone. He threw it to Trey Harris. He threw it to Ladd McConkey. He threw it to Keenan Allen. He threw it to Quentin Johnston. He was throwing the ball. The only few plays that they ran, they really couldn't do anything. It was a negative 1 yard run to a Marion Hampton on the third play of the drive. And then it was a 2 yard run where it was a direct snap to their tight end, Tyler Conklin, to do a quarterback sneak. But other than that, it was all through the air and with the arm of Justin Herbert. He did not have a single incompletion on that drive. I think he went 7 for 7 or 9 for 9, had 60-something yards, and had the touchdown pass. I mean, it was an MVP-type drive from Justin Herbert, and it effectively ended the game right then and there. Now, as much as I want to put this loss on the Chiefs' defense, and really I think in the end, you kind of do have to put this on the Chiefs' defense. They gave up contain on a 3rd and 14 to end the game. They really could not do anything in the first or second half to limit the Chargers from scoring. In fact, the Chargers only punted twice in this game tonight. And it just seemed like their cornerbacks especially, and, their safeties were put into some, I think, weird positions. But by their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo. I just think the Chargers had an answer for everything they thought Kansas City defensively was going to throw at them, whether it was a blitz, whether it was coverage, whatever it was going to be. And with these four guys on offense that the Chargers have between Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, and if Trey Harris, I know he only had one reception tonight. He really only ran one route, I think. I didn't see him on the field much. This is going to be a team that is relying on Justin Herbert. Last year, we would not have seen this type of attack to win against the Chiefs like we saw tonight. We would have seen more plays on the ground. We would have seen more of Najee Harris. We would have seen more of a Marion Hampton. We would have seen more on the ground. But it looks like the Chargers are going to actually unleash Justin Herbert this year. And tonight was a great performance against a defense that up until tonight, I think everybody thought was pretty good. Going forward, the Chargers go to the Las Vegas Raiders next week. I think this could be the start for the Chargers to the season that they really need. They get a game on the Chiefs. They lead the division after this week, no matter what. And they get another divisional opponent who, has a much worse defense than Kansas City has. And I think the Los Angeles Chargers, with what they were able to show against Patrick Mahomes and their team. Now, it shouldn't be lost that the Chiefs were playing without Rashee Rice to start the game. It seemed like early in the game, Travis Kelce was a no-show. And they lost Xavier Worthy on the third play of the game. But that shouldn't really be the Chargers' problem. I think the Chargers played great defensively, and they didn't really absolutely dominate. They just didn't give up big plays, even though, there was a few plays in there that I chalk up more to the fact of Patrick Mahomes is probably just one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But they're not going to see that every week. They're going to see nobody close to the talent that Patrick Mahomes has. And if they play as good as they did tonight, this is a Super Bowl contender with that defense. And with Justin Herbert and with these wide receivers, they could be really, really good this year. The Chiefs next go to the Philadelphia Eagles, a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. I don't know if it's really a highly anticipated game or not. I think a lot of people are interested to see what happens. I think a lot of people, this is the first time we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs lose before week, they lost in week 11 or 12 last year. This is a bit of unusual territory for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think going against Philly, they could have a lot of the same issues because Philly has an even better offensive line than LA. Philly has an even better wide receiver core, in my opinion, than LA. Philly has a much better running game than LA. I think Philly on the defensive line is better than LA. I think Philly in the secondary is better, minus, LA has Derwin James, obviously. But I think Philly is better. I think at every single level, offensively, defensively, special teams, I think Philly is much better than the LA Chargers. And if Kansas City is struggling like this against Philly, they might lose by double digits, just to be honest. Tonight was a pretty good game. It was in Brazil. It was the first game streamed on YouTube, which I think is not really a storyline of the game itself, but it was kind of cool, right? Everybody got to watch the game for free. And I think compared to previous experiences we had with streamers getting a football game, I had zero issues watching the game on YouTube. It seemed seamless, the transition from having it being on a network or a different streaming platform like Peacock or Netflix or, any of those other platforms. YouTube seemed pretty good. And I think, YouTube probably has a lot of experience now that they have Sunday Ticket. And it just seemed like a great way to watch a football game on YouTube. And I really wasn't expecting that after some of the experiences we've had with Netflix or the other streaming giants in the past. At the end of the day, this was a really good start to the NFL season. We had a good game tonight between Kansas City and LA. We had a good game last night between Philly and Dallas. And we are off and running on another good NFL season.